My girlfriend said she wanted to see other people, and the strange part was how calmly she said it. Not in anger, not during a fight, not after some huge betrayal, just quietly, over dinner, like she was asking to change vacation plans. Her name was Madison. We had been together for 2 years, long enough to build routines, long enough to know each other's coffee order, stress habits, and family drama, long enough for everyone around us to assume marriage was next. That night, I had cooked for us. Pasta, wine, candles, the whole thing. I thought we were having a normal Friday. She sat across from me, barely touching her food, turning her glass slowly in her hand. Then she looked at me and said, "Ethan, I think I want to see other people." For a second, I honestly thought I had heard her wrong, because sometimes your brain protects you before your heart can catch up. I stared at her and waited for the rest. Maybe she meant space. Maybe she meant therapy. Maybe she meant she was confused and needed time. But no, she meant exactly what she said. She took a breath and added, "I'm just scared of settling down without knowing what else is out there." That sentence did something to me. Not because it was loud, because it was honest, painfully honest. In that moment, I realized she wasn't asking for clarity. She was asking for permission to compare me to the world and keep me nearby in case the world disappointed her. And the worst part was, she said it like it was reasonable, like a mature conversation, like I should appreciate her honesty. I put my fork down and looked at her for a long moment. Then I said, "I understand." She blinked. I think she expected anger, maybe pleading, maybe one of those long, emotional speeches people give in movies. But I had nothing dramatic to say, because once someone tells you they're unsure whether you're enough, the room changes forever. She leaned forward and said, "That's it?" I nodded. "That's it." Her expression tightened. "I'm trying to be honest with you. I know. I'm not saying I don't love you. I know that too. Then why are you acting like this is the end?" I looked at her and said the one thing that had become clear in my mind. Because I don't want to stay with someone who needs to check if I'm the best option first. She looked hurt, offended even, like I had made her honesty sound selfish. But truth doesn't become noble just because it's spoken gently. Sometimes it's still selfish. Sometimes honesty is just cleaner cruelty. That night, I slept in the guest room. I didn't cry. I didn't text my friends. I didn't drink. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying the exact tone of her voice. Not cruel, not cold, just uncertain. And somehow uncertainty hurt more than anger would have. Because anger at least means there's still something solid to fight against. Uncertainty turns love into fog. The next morning, she came into the guest room with coffee and tried to soften everything. She said she was overwhelmed. She said life was moving fast. She said this wasn't about me not being enough. But that was the problem. It was about me not being enough to stop her from wondering. And once that truth enters a relationship, it doesn't leave politely. For the next few days, we lived in that strange, quiet tension that happens when two people are technically still together, but emotionally standing on opposite sides of a bridge that's already burning. She started talking like there was still a negotiation possible. She said things like, "Maybe we can redefine things." Or, "Maybe this doesn't have to mean breaking up." But every version of her solution had one thing in common. She wanted freedom, and she wanted me to stay emotionally available while she explored it. I couldn't do that. Not because I didn't love her, because I did. And love without dignity becomes self-abandonment. A week later, she told me she was going to dinner with some guy from work. She said his name was Lucas. She said she was telling me because she wanted to be transparent. Transparent. That word almost made me laugh. Because transparency wasn't the issue anymore. The issue was that she still expected me to care like a boyfriend while accepting treatment no boyfriend should accept. So I just said, "You don't have to explain your evenings to me anymore." She looked at me like I had slapped her. "That's cold." "No," I said. "It's honest." She went. She came home late. And I knew instantly that dinner hadn't changed her life. That was the thing people like Madison never understood. Sometimes they imagine there's some grand answer waiting outside the relationship. Some magical person, some electric feeling, some proof that their doubt was wisdom. But most of the time, what they find is just another human being, another conversation, another expensive meal, another reminder that the person who loved them steadily was rarer than they realized. After that, something shifted. She became softer with me. Kinda. More attentive. She started making my coffee again. Started asking where I was going. Started acting like she missed something that hadn't fully left yet. And that's when I understood the real pattern. She didn't feel the cost of losing me when she spoke the words. She felt it when I stopped reaching toward her. A few weeks later, an opportunity came up at work. A senior position in Boston. Better pay. Bigger role. Fresh start. Months earlier, I would have turned it down without thinking because Madison wanted us in Connecticut. But now, for the first time in a long time, I made a decision without building my future around her uncertainty. I accepted the offer. When I told her, she just stared at me. "You moving?" she asked. "Yes." "You'd really leave?" I looked at her and said, "You asked for space. I'm giving both of us some." She looked shaken, not angry this time, scared, because I think until that moment, some part of her believed I would remain exactly where she left me, waiting, available, suspended, like love could be paused and resumed whenever she was done searching. After that, she stopped talking about other people. She stopped talking about freedom. Instead, she started talking about us again, about memories, about what we had, about how maybe she had handled it badly. One night, she came into my room and said, "What if I choose you now?" I won't lie, that hurt, because a part of me still wanted that. Still wanted her to look at me with certainty and say I was enough. Still wanted the last month to disappear. Still wanted the original version of us back. But some things cannot be unsaid, and some doors, once opened, never close the same way. So I looked at her and said, "I don't want to be chosen only after you feel me leaving." She started crying then. Real crying. Not dramatic. Not manipulative. Just the sound of someone finally understanding consequence. She asked, "So this is really over?" And I said, "I think it ended the moment you asked me to stay loyal while you tested your options." She covered her face and whispered, "I didn't think it would cost this much." And that was the saddest part of all. I believed her. I don't think she wanted to destroy us. I think she just wanted the luxury of uncertainty without the price that usually comes with it. But love doesn't work that way. You don't get to loosen your grip on someone and be shocked when they stop feeling safe in your hands. The morning I left for Boston, it was raining. The movers had already taken most of my things. The apartment looked hollow, like the life we almost had already packed itself away. Madison stood near the doorway in silence. No anger, no speeches, just sadness. I picked up my last bag, and she asked, "Do you hate me?" I said no, and I meant it, because hate would have been easier. Hate would have made me feel strong. But what I felt was grief and clarity. She stepped closer and hugged me. I let her, not because I had changed my mind, because not every goodbye needs bitterness to be real. When she pulled away, her eyes were wet. She said, "I did love you." I nodded and said, "I know." Then I walked out. Months later, I understood something I couldn't see clearly back then. The most painful breakups are not always the ones built on cheating or screaming or betrayal. Sometimes they happen because one person wants certainty and the other wants options. And those two things cannot live in the same house for long. I did love Madison. Maybe a part of me always will. But love is not the same as permission. And understanding someone's fear does not mean you have to build your life around it. She wanted to see other people. I understood. That's exactly why I left.